Oh, sorry.
Are you going to sing for us?
I was rocking out.
We want to hear it.
Did you hear that? What's the password on the Wi-Fi?
Phone number. Our phone
Phone
number.
number here. I got the 909 part right. Okay, hello, 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 hello. Sorry, people at home, that we are starting late, but if you would have been here, you would have gotten awesome tacos, which we appreciate. You guys can keep eating. We're just going to do some logistic stuff like we always do while you're eating, enjoying the tacos. So, driving logistics for those of us that are going down as a group. I forget the number. 18 going down, right? We will be meeting at the high school at 11:30, and then we'll be loading up the vehicles and driving down. We've got 2 SUVs that hold 7 each, and then Steve has volunteered to bring some people down. He gets to choose who he likes to sit in his truck, and so we have his truck, and then in case someone's luggage is way too big, we have the Andretti's on last call, right?
We have a truck too.
Yes, and we have a truck too as well. I'm sorry, with just 4 people. So we've got 2 trucks. So I think we're good on the way down. We'll get everybody down, and then on the way back, we've got DJ will be bringing an 11-passenger van, and Steve again will be picking us up in his truck, and Jeff will be picking us up in his truck. So be nice to those people. Otherwise, you are left at LAX. You don't want that, right? Let's see. Hey, next week is our. Do you have a question? Oh, yes, go right ahead. Okay, that was down on my list, but I'll answer it right now. No, I'll do it right now. The question was, what time should you be at the airport if you're going on your own? So our flight leaves at 6:30. The ticket counter does not open until 3 to 3.5 hours beforehand. So if you get there at noon thinking I'll beat the system, you won't be able to get in. You'll be sitting in the with the people of mass humanity trying to get in. So we recommend you get there between 3 and 3:30, and that's when they usually open up the ticket counter. Bradley International on Sunday. Yep. And then another question that had come up was, what about my seat assignments? Your seat assignments are given to you when you get your plane ticket at the ticket counter. You do not have a plane ticket now in your hands. You're going to go up with your passport and go, "Hi, I'm Joey, and I'm flying to Israel with all these people." And they just swipe your passport, and your itinerary comes up on their side, and she will print your ticket. If you want a special seat with somebody, I was telling Melissa, go up with that person, Mike and Tina and Nevaeh, and try and sit with them. They will try and accommodate, but the seats have been what's that? Filling up, yes. So we might have a full plane, and then you don't get quite the choices. But if you want a window seat, that's why we try to get there early, right? So if you're the first person in line to get your ticket, they may be able to move you and put you like, I want a window seat or the like. Yes. Yes. So there's a cost, and if you watch last week's streaming, Joe came up and demonstrated how you go online and do that. So either watch it again or talk with Joe, and he can fill you in on how to. Has it gone up? Wow. You did good.
The international is more expensive than the, well, let's say the big leg is more expensive than the leg from Turkey to Israel. Makes sense.
Okay, that's 2 down. Let me see. Let's see. Oh, the new curriculum is up on the website. So if you want to just sit and watch there's no quizzes, there's no nothing. It's so boring, but Joe likes it. So, and if you are still interested and you're behind schedule and you want to still do the old curriculum, it is at the bottom of the page. So they're both still available. Let's see. I got a shaking head. No, you don't want to do it, or it's not there. Oh, she doesn't want to do it. Okay, all right.
Didn't they explain you have to pass the test?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, text me. Oh, okay. Also, if you could just text me, if you're not with our group, text me once you make it through security and you're in the airport. Because some of you are traveling on your own, and we'll get down there on your own, and we want to make sure that everyone makes it into the actual terminal before we leave. So as long as I know that you haven't your car hasn't broken down and we have to come rescue you or anything like that. So just text me when you're through security. Make sense? Okay.
Is that Turkish Air at the international terminal?
Yes, so it's the Turkish Air at the international terminal, Bradley International. Yes.
If you know LAX, there's two sets of terminals on this side, and the center one at the far end is the international. That's where you want to go. Yeah, it's a U shape. It's at the end of the U.
Yeah, the terminal is, Tom Bradley is at the end of the U. So go all the way to the end, and you'll see it says in big, huge letters, Tom Bradley International. And yeah, you can't miss, well, you can miss it. Not likely, but you, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
It's right there. You'll see it.
Yes, yes. Yeah, there'll be 8, like I said, there's 18 of us in a group. All of us are together, but there's 38 of us total. Some are going the day before. Some are going, the rest of them will be coming with us, but they're not driving down with us. So some are, yes. So we know all those 18 will get there at the same time, while I know Joe and Holly are going on their own, and Todd and Leah and that gang are going on their own. So, okay. Let's see. Backpacks. Not all of you are here for the backpacks. Someone have theirs here. I just wanted to show. Yeah, right there. You just hold it. I just want this part. That thing's heavy. Don't put it on my lap. Anyway, for you guys that didn't, know, there's an on-off on here. This spins, and if your backpack leaks, you just spin this thing. What's it? There it goes. Yeah, it spins. So if these notoriously leak, like I was telling our group on the hike, or you sit on it, it'll leak. So you can actually turn it off so it won't leak. And did everyone get their magnets onto their backpack?
Yeah.
Yes. So there's a magnet that comes with your backpack and your water bladder. Oh, you haven't even opened it yet. Very nice. Okay, so it threads onto the cross strap, and then it goes like this. Pop. Okay, and it keeps it from dangling and flopping all over the place. Okay, and if you don't have it, I'll show you. Yeah. Yeah. See how it's still all. Okay, so it goes in the back, and again, If you watched last week's video, this is all on it. So watch last week's video, or if you have problems, come see me after, and I will help you get situated. Thank you, baby. Yeah, go to Lori. She'll get you all tipped. Okay, so a question. Tips. So this trip is 100% paid for. All the actual tips have been taken care of, like all the porters, any waiters, any of that stuff is all included. However, our guide and our driver, we tip them extra because they're so fantastic. And so everyone usually goes, oh, what's the customary? We usually do $20 a person. It is not required. And just so you know, some of you will tip more than that. So do not worry about tipping them, right? I want that to be really clear. It is not required, but they do such a fantastic job that for the whole time, just the one time, yeah. So whatever you can. Again, I just like to throw it out because we usually do it, like a couple days left to go. We go, hey, if any of you guys are interested in because you had such a great time, tipping these guys extra, and then people will go, I'm broke. I spend all my stuff on trinkets. I don't have any cash, which is fine. Like I said, it is perfectly fine, and you're gonna really learn to grow to love these guys. So I know you'll want to do that. Also, shopping. What? Oh, all of a sudden everybody paid attention. I said shopping. Shopping? Whoa, shopping. Whoa, shopping. There's only one thing that would get more interest if I said tattoo. Whoa, tattoos. Whoa, tattoos. So shopping. We do very little shopping. But we will give you an opportunity to shop in the Old City for a short time. And we'll be begging Ronan, our guide, for that time. Also, we take a journey into Bethlehem to see the Church of Nativity, and Johnny's souvenir shop hosts us. So we'll be giving lunch there. Johnny's is they are Christian Palestinians, and there are very few Christians left in Bethlehem. They've been ousted by the Muslims communities, but these guys this family has been there for years and years, and they've chose to stay. And so we go there to support them as Christians. And so they have some amazing carvings of olive wood, and so anywhere from $30,000 down to $5. 5 shekels. But very intricate stuff. So if again, I just want to give you a heads up on that. So you're going to get there and go, oh, I didn't bring my credit card or whatever. But again, a nativity scene from Bethlehem is fantastic. Look at that. I just sold one for them. And we don't get any, do we get any kickbacks from them?
You forgot to tell me. One of the things I would suggest when we go there, don't try to bargain. Okay? Because, I mean, you know how we are. It's like, I want to get it for a deal. It's like, okay, we're trying to help these guys. And so just consider it's like, if you go, well, this is a little bit more expensive than the one I saw in the Arab Quarter in Jerusalem. It's like, okay, but think about who it is and go, do you want to help them? If you want to help them, just consider it, you're helping them. And it's not going to come back and go, I got a killer deal. So anyway, just have that in the background.
Yeah. And they'll ship it home for you. Yeah, so you don't, trust me. You don't want to carry that. And you're not going to be able to, you like Mike said, you're going to see something in the Arab Quarter and you're going to go, oh, it's $20 here and it's $100 here. But you are not going to be able to tell the intricacy that's the craftsmanship that's taken place until you put them side by side and went, oh, now I see why. But otherwise, you won't. And if you just want to get a really inexpensive one, then that's fine too. You could shop wherever you want. I'm just telling you, we will be going there. They host us lunch, and it's a really cool time. Again, with those that did the hike, Johnny's had us over for dinner many times with his family. It's a relationship we've grown to love those guys very much. So, yeah. So, like I said, when we're in the old city, that is the best place to get that kind of stuff. It's just a timing thing. So.
That'd be helpful.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah, time is limited for sure.
When you say time is limited, do you like have a ballpark, 30 minutes, an hour?
So, now this is a great question. The question is, do we have a ballpark on shopping time? And so, look, hey, does so the answer is this. It depends on the pace of the group. So if we're, for lack of a better word, dilly-dallying along, and then we might only get 20 minutes. But if we're zooming and we're ahead of schedule on that day, whatever day that is, that Ronan goes, this is the best day for shopping, then maybe you have 45 minutes. But never longer than that.
Okay, so basically in the morning of the day that we have all of our things planned, everybody just drinks a whole lot of coffee or
And Zooms, yes. I'm sorry, question. Yes, so another option for those of you that want to venture out, you are not under lock and key. You can venture out into the old city, take a taxi, and we may try to do it as a group, but you can do that.
Some of the shops close, but some stay open.
Yes. And I remember my first trip. I ventured out, and I took one of the green buses. Well, with some college kids. Well, the Joshua program leader goes, "You guys did what?" Well, they had just had a terrorist bombing on a green bus, and that's the only ones they do because those are locals, not tourists. So I went, oh, so if you're going to venture out, make sure that we know that you're venturing out, and don't ride the green bus. Yeah, and we again haven't had problems like that at all. But just a funny story for me that I just went, oh yeah, hey, I'm on my own, and I'm trying to get myself blown up. Yes, ma'am. Oh, that was a great question. What time does the day start? Because that has come up a couple of times. So we will usually start at 4 a.m. and
Got one.
So, yeah, I'm just trying to find out who the really committed people are. Thank you. I got the grumblers over here, which we talked about on the trip, and then I got the true. Yeah. So, the hardcore people. So usually it's something in the neighborhood of wake up call at 6:30 or 7, breakfast at 7:30, on the bus at 8. Usually, and you know why? Because of the grumblers. We used to get up much earlier and get out earlier, but Americans need their beauty sleep. So, yeah, sooner the better, right? Sooner the better when it's really hot. So that's generally what it'll be. And we announce it every night before we get off the bus. We announce your times. And let me just say, put it in your phone or write it down right then, because you are in a fog. And when you go into your hotel on day 3, you're going to go, hey, what time was wake-up call tomorrow? Because it's not always the same time. and you're going to think you're not going to remember which day is which. And so write it down, put it in your phone right then, because you will forget. And I just say that from experience. Yes, ma'am. Dress up tight nights. Great question. So you can dress up every evening that you would like. You can go clean up. We always give you time to shower up and clean up. And some of the ladies like to feel fresh, and it's always nice to have clean clothes on. Yeah, some of you ladies could talk to my wife about using deodorant and cleaning her ankles. That might be negative points. Hey, if she says it, it's okay, but if I say it, it's I'm
Dirty ankles. I didn't say anything about not using deodorant.
sorry, my bad. I added that. I added that on. Let's see. Maybe I should use deodorant. Okay, but so yes to that, Wanda. You can dress up in the evening time. It'll be nice. And then on our, I don't know if we'll be making it back to the hotel or not on our farewell dinner. Last night we do a farewell dinner, and we kind of send off our driver and guide. We give them whatever we've collected for tips. We put it in a card, give them a nice card, and give everybody the chance to say a little time for us to share things we've learned and stuff. Yes, Maria.
We got plenty of water on the bus, in your rooms. Yeah, we'll if you have questions about how to sequence it, just, we'll have it on the bus as we get off the bus. Hey, take some water to your room, put it, go, so. And they keep us stocked because they know us.
Yeah. There'll be tons of water available. Yes, they're buffet-style dinners, and go ahead.
You will have more options than you can imagine. All of it is incredibly high-quality stuff. You will not be hungry. I mean, it's just amazing. And I'd say all the places are 5-star nice places. So if you want to dress up, it'd be appropriate. If you don't dress up, nobody's gonna look down on you because it's a tourist hotel, But it's really, really nice.
Oh, yeah, great. No, great. Lunches are provided, and lunches are on site. 90% of the time. A couple of times we'll pop into a restaurant as we travel, but in order to save us time, we do lunches on site. And so it'll be something local, like pita bread with hummus and vegetables and that kind of stuff. And our bus driver will be preparing it while we're out teaching. And then when we come back, you'll have lunch on site, and then we go to the next site. So I don't know if you guys get the impression that we are trying to utilize our time as best we can so that we can get to as many spots as we can without wasting much time. Mary. What? You're not bringing anything formal? Oh my gosh. Yeah.
The dress code is wide, so we're just saying if people want to dress up a little bit to enjoy it, that's fine. It's not required, but that's fine. Anything you do will be fine.
Stand up for everyone to see. Stand up. Go ahead. Stand up. Stand up. Go ahead. Come on. Yes, Angie, stand up. This is fantastic, right? Look at that. That would be comfortable and
Adorable.
okay. I get in trouble if I say it adorable. Yeah, girl. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh, now I stirred more questions. Okay, last two. Hey, don't even. Go ahead.
Will we know ahead of time the days that we're going to be going to places where we can get into water? Or should we just prepare to?
No, at the evening before, like we're going to say, hey, tomorrow, wake up calls at 6:30, blah blah blah. 7 lunch, breakfast is here. Bring water appropriate clothes or bring modesty clothes. We'll tell you that all beforehand. And then if we forget, then you just have to go in your regular clothes.
They always have said what you're supposed to be prepared for the next day. You will, no surprises.
Yeah. Okay, so
Where's Melissa? More modeling going on.
the question was about modesty clothes, and Melissa's good. That's fantastic.
No, it's a skirt. It's gonna
Yeah.
or a shirt that's
Might be hot.
Yeah, it might be hot. Those little shawls are fantastic.
Yeah. It's like California.
Gloria, does that answer your question? Gloria? Does that answer your question? Okay. If you have, yeah, on the Temple Mount, like we had mentioned earlier, on the Temple Mount, sometimes they aren't paying attention, and people sneak in with arms uncovered and in shorts for the ladies, and we're like, hey, you didn't bust them. And then other times they're very strict. So we just respect their rules. We don't want to get kicked off, so we just do it. It's easy. Oh, I don't. Just for shorts? Oh, if you're just or hiking in the Galilee and stuff, yeah, you can just wear regular whatever you like.
It's just for religious sites where they have sensitivity.
Yeah. Yes, that'd be perfect.
Yeah, we'll give you a heads up.
Yeah.
There's not really a lot of walking through water unless, like Hezekiah's tunnel, that's all water. And Getty. It's a spring, and you probably want to get in it. So, yeah.
And again, we'll let you know on those days that you need water shoes and water clothes appropriate. No, I'd bring a bathing suit for sure for the Dead Sea and for the Dead Sea pools. But for when we're out hiking, no, not a bathing suit. Yeah. Yes. Yes. And the same with the Sea of Galilee. Everyone's going to want to go in the Sea of Galilee, especially since if it's 90, 95 degrees, the water will be nice. And if you're going to get baptized, that's another reason to have it. Yes, Dick. That's fine.
If it requires anything special, we'll give you a heads up on that day. Say, we're going to this spot, like Temple Mount. So if any adjustments you can make at that time. So the men have to have their legs covered also?
Not necessarily, no. No, the men, yeah, it's not necessarily so. Even though I still wear long pants, the zip-offs, but I haven't seen anybody harassed for men-wise for shorts and a T-shirt. Yeah. Okay?
Start again?
Yes.
Okay, I want to. She didn't care. What are my options?
Your stuff or the Israel trip prep? I would do yours.
That's all the same.
Oh, the Israel trip is included in our normal?
Mhm.
Okay, good.
So.
She can, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, we're gonna roll with that. That's all in one presentation, right? Okay, that's what. Yep, I got it. Okay, so I want to share some stuff with you guys. Some of it has been touched on in the tour preparation, which maybe you got it or didn't get it. But there's a couple things that I just want to share with you tonight some of it may be really interesting to you. Some of it might go, I don't know what I need to know this for. Well, because you're going to see all this stuff. And so my hope is that you can have a little bit of understanding of it so that you don't look at it and just go, whatever that stuff is. I don't even know why they do that. So let's see what we got here. Oh, couple songs. This is the Shema. You guys have probably seen this, but I hope you don't mind hearing it again. It's just an awesome little rendition in Hebrew from the Garden Tomb, and I think you might have seen this.
ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, שמע ישראל, אדוני אחד, שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, שמע ישראל, אדוני אחד, ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, שמע ישראל, אדוני אחד, שמע
Next song is Josh Aaron again. I think you'll enjoy the background. It's the Aaronic Blessing from Numbers 6. It's been turned into a song by a lot of the, I think Carrie Job and Elevation Worship are the ones that get the most credit for it being popularized, but it comes from this passage, and this is in Hebrew, and all this backdrop's Jerusalem. So, okay, maybe not.
אלפי דורות, משפחתך וילדיך, דורותיך אחריך, רוחו תלך לפניך, לצידך אחריך, מסביבך בליבך, הוא איתך, הוא איתך, בבוקר ובערב, בצאתך ובואך, בסבלותיך, באושריך, הוא איתך, הוא איתך, הוא איתנו, עם כולנו, הוא איתך, הוא איתך.
I'm pretty sure most of you guys know the background from from Numbers 6. It was God instructing the priests, Aaron, to pray that blessing over the people. He said that by doing that, it's putting God's name upon his people. It's just really a precious thing. So, this is Deuteronomy 6. We know portions of this from the Shema, right? This is the intro to the Shema. And we're going to come back to this time and time again. Joey mentioned it today, that how much, if we pay attention to the Shema, how much God wove that concept through just literally everything. So many times he's saying, listen, really hear what he's saying, but do it, to obey it. And if you track with that, it's like from cover to cover. And this is the second law. So the new covenant, or the covenant being renewed with the people as they go into the promised land. And listen to what the Lord's saying to them. This is the commandment. These are the statutes and judgments which the Lord God has commanded you to teach you. So God's commanding them to learn these things. And then he says, so that you may observe them, hear and obey. And he says, in the land which you're crossing over to possess, that the fear of your Lord your God, you may fear the Lord your God, to keep all his statutes, that's the obedience part, and his commandments, in which I command you, you and your son and your grandson. It's a picture to start with. God's going, this is family application. This is something for you to do in your home, not in a religious, formal setting, but in your home with your children and grandchildren. He says, all the days of your life, that your days may be prolonged. Because disobedience brings consequences, oftentimes shortening their lives and shortening their enjoyment of the land. And he's going, this is to bless you. If we get it, God's saying, you have to disobey me in order to lose your blessings. His intention, his command is, do this so that you'll enjoy the blessings. And he says, therefore, hear, O Israel, Shema, O Israel, and be careful to observe it, that it may be well with you. I mean, people are like, God's so mean. It's like, no, he's going, this is the path of blessing. That's why I'm insisting that you do this. You're going to have to disobey me and rebel against me to lose all the good that I have for you. That you may multiply greatly as the Lord your God of the God of your fathers has promised, a land flowing with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength. We'll see in the New Testament, strength, soul, mind, those, because the word soul carries the idea of more than just something internal, but really collectively our mind, our heart, our soul, it's deep. And strength sometimes is translated in different ways. It means everything that you have. And that includes finances, your physical strength, your mental strength, all of that together. And he says, love him with all of that, all that we have. And these words will, which I command you, shall be in your heart. I never want to run past that. God says, it needs to be in your heart, inside, the most precious place that we possess things of importance and value, in your heart. And he says, these words shall be in your heart, and teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. And we're going to be doing that on the tour. We're going to be walking and talking, and to me, it's just a simple thing that God's going to, show your children by your conversation about the Lord how his word applies to real life, normal life stuff. You're going through the day, you can talk about it. You can give a short little mini sermonette, a little Bible study, a quick little devotional thought. We're telling our kids, see, God's in the real thing, in the real life, in simple stuff. While we're going for a walk, when we lay down at night, before we, flip the light switch in our brain, before we fall asleep, to think about the Lord. When we get up first thing in the morning, turn our hearts towards the Lord. It's just a great, great picture. And then verse 8, it says, you shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. He's talking about something that the Jews have consider by this study is something that we know as tephilim or phylacteries. You'll see the word phylacteries sometimes in the scriptures, not tefillin so much. Tefillin would be the Hebrew, phylacteries is a Greek type of a thing. But it's these little boxes. We talked a little bit about it, but I thought you might find some a little bit more information just to be enlightening to you, just to make more sense. So these are deluxe versions, but this is a brief explanation of the tefillin.
You're walking down the street, minding your own business, when some kid in a black hat stops you.
Hey, are you Jewish?
Of course you are. Look at you.
Want to put on tefillin?
What are tefillin, and why is this guy asking strangers to put them on?
That won't happen to you because you're not Jewish.
Tefillin are two black boxes with leather straps. The boxes are also made out of leather, and they have inner compartments that contain handwritten scrolls. These scrolls have passages from the Shema and other verses that describe God's unity, the miracles he performed during the Exodus from Egypt, and his unique power to rule over the physical and spiritual worlds. These verses comprise some of the most important tenets of the Jewish faith. So the Torah, that's the 5 books of Moses, says to take these words and bind them to our arms and on our heads. That's what the cubes and straps are for. By strapping the tefillin to our physical body, we bring these spiritual concepts into our everyday lives, binding our minds, hearts, and deeds to the Almighty. Wearing tefillin is a mitzvah. Jewish men and boys over bar mitzvah age are commanded to put tefillin on pretty much every day, except Shabbat and certain holidays. Tefillin are ideally worn during morning prayers, but you can technically fulfill the mitzvah anytime during the day, until around when it gets dark. They might look intimidating, but strapping and wrapping only takes a couple minutes. Here's how it's done. The first box goes on the non-dominant arm, so if you're a righty, it's strapped to the left bicep, right next to the heart. Before tightening the knot, a special blessing is recited. The straps are then wound around the arms 7 times. The second box has a Hebrew letter shin on either side and thin lines that divide the box into 4 sections. That's because inside the box, there are 4 compartments, one for each of the texts that we mentioned before. The head tefillin is placed like a crown, with the box resting just above the hairline. It's very important to make sure the box rests in the center of your head. They even make special mirrors and, believe it or not, smartphone apps that help you align and center the head tefillin. The last step is to wind the remaining strap of the arm tefillin around your middle finger. If you look closely, you'll notice that the straps and knots spell out one of God's holiest names. Well, we're really not supposed to say it out loud, but this is how it's spelled. It's a good idea to wear the tefillin for the whole morning prayer service, but if you're short on time, make sure you at least say the Shema before taking them off. The main reason we wear tefillin is because it's a mitzvah. Like all mitzvahs, it enables us to forge a unique bond with the Almighty and draws divine light into the world. The second reason we wear tefillin is to freak people out at the airport. In all seriousness, besides the fact that wearing tefillin is a commandment from God, it also carries a ton of symbolism and meaning. For example, the Talmud says that God actually wears tefillin as well, but his are a little different. Instead of scrolls that talk about how awesome God is, like in our tefillin, his tefillin contain verses about his love for the Jewish people and his desire to be connected to us in a meaningful way. Okay, now that we know what tefillin are, why is this kid asking me to put them on? And why won't he take no for an answer? Well, there are a few reasons, but let's start with the Lubavitcher Rebbe's tefillin campaign, which started just before the Six-Day War. He said that Jews everywhere, soldiers and civilians, religious and not, should commit to an extra mitzvah and bring a little more of that spiritual protection to the entire nation. While any one of the 613 mitzvahs can do that, tefillin has a unique protective quality. According to the Talmud, when Jewish men don tefillin, that holy name of God rests upon us, and our enemies are struck with fear. That's exactly what happened in 1967, when thousands of additional Jews took part in this mitzvah, and Israel won the war in just 6 days. But it's not only about international conflict. It's much bigger than that. True, tefillin causes our enemies to run away in fear, but it's not only our physical enemies, it's our spiritual ones as well. Tefillin can bring balance between the mind and heart and repel all forces of negativity in our lives. Tefillin is a quick way to change our lives as individuals and also the entire world at large. All it takes is some leather, some parchment, and a couple of minutes. So, want to put on tefillin?
Okay, so you can see, we saw the verses. Bind these things to your forehead, your arms, your hands. Okay, so they take it literally, but then you hear the Talmudic commentary from the rabbis adding things like, oh, there's a spiritual force that comes and this, and it's like, none of those things are implied in this text. Those are things that are added on, and that's where you see, what was God really after? He was after their obedience, right? And so the idea of binding it to your head, it's like he wants us to obey. The fact that they have this symbol and do this ceremony stuff, I'm not trying to pick on it. I'm not trying to diss it. You know, it's maybe a reasonable mechanism to say we want to have God's word on our hearts, on our minds, and directing our actions by our hands. That's fine, but you can see they missed the point. The point is God wanted them to obey his word. There were individuals during the time of Christ, after they rejected the Messiah and they're headed for destruction, who are wearing tefillin and going, well, we got spiritual protection. Not if you're not obeying God. And so it's important for us to go, some of these things they have, this has a biblical idea behind it, but let's not miss the whole point of the Shema is to hear and obey. Not to have this symbol that says we're obeying while we're not. Okay, so Joey talked a little bit about the mezuzah. That's one of the things you'll see them around Jerusalem. There's a passage that talks about putting on the doorposts. This is a little...
Walking down the street, you may notice something interesting at the entrance to some of the houses. Over there, that little box on the right side of the door. A mezuzah. It might look like a poorly installed doorbell or some type of decoration. Some might come in silver or fancy designs, but don't get distracted. Those are just protective cases. What's important is what goes inside. The mezuzah itself is a small scroll, handwritten by an expert scribe on parchment. On the outside, it has the Hebrew letters Shin, Daled, and Yud, which spell out one of God's holy names. But it's also an acronym that means Guardian of the Doors of Israel. That's because when this scroll is properly affixed to a doorpost, it provides spiritual protection. Think of it like a spiritual bicycle helmet, just a little extra needed protection. Anything should go wrong, God forbid. That's why it's so important to have a mezuzah on every door in your house, especially the front door, and to make sure that the scrolls themselves are kosher, and that they've actually been handwritten by a professional sofer, a Jewish scribe, on authentic parchment. What's in the actual scroll? The first two portions of the Shema, beginning with the verse, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one." In addition to being foundational texts in Judaism, these two paragraphs are where God commands us, "You shall write these words upon the doorposts of your house and upon your city gates." And guess how you say doorpost in Hebrew? Mezuzah. So which doors need to have mezuzahs installed? As long as the doorway has two side posts and a lintel above, that doorway needs a mezuzah. There are a few exceptions. You don't need to put one on a small closet or anything like that. You also don't need a mezuzah on your bathrooms, because gross. But don't forget some walk-in closets, garages, utility rooms, hallways, as well as your office, and all kinds of unconventional doorways that might need mezuzahs. If you're unsure about any of the rooms in your house or where to place it, don't be shy and ask your rabbi where you should and shouldn't put a mezuzah. I'm sure he'd be happy to help. But don't let...
Okay, so again, we have an example of something that God says, well, write these on your doorposts of your house. Okay, is there something wrong with literally doing that? Nothing. But isn't it clear that as God speaks that he's saying, I want your home to be living in obedience to me. I want it to be your home, your family, right? And in a sense of saying, this is who we are as a family. This is what we're about. And you can see that they do, as is often the case with the commandments. The word mitzvah, by the way, just means commandment. It's a Hebrew way to say it. So when they say, well, you're doing a mitzvah, it's like, well, you're obeying a commandment. And so we can see, like, the Sabbath, keeping the Sabbath. They develop a whole huge list of ways that you go, you can do this, but you can't do that. You can do this, but you can't do that. You can do, and the Lord said, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. But they add all these rules and regulations on top of it that weren't part of the commandment at all. And we see that it's like, well, every door, but these kind of doors, but not these kind of doors. And you got to go through the whole house. And there's mystical, spiritual, guardian stuff that comes. And it's like, that's none of that. None of that's biblical. And so you can see that what Jesus talked about, that they teach the traditions of men and violate the oracles of God. And so you can see that that's one of the insights that you get as we go through the land. You'll see, well, this is, I mean, no, not being critical, but this is not biblical. But it starts with a biblical instruction that gets developed over time by rabbis who go, well, I think it means this, and we should do that. And it's like, isn't it great that God calls us to obedience through his word, not through the Bible commentators that, there's a million of them, right? The joke about Bible commentators, some are more commentators than others. So this is a kippah, also known as a yarmulke. Okay, you'll see a lot of these on Jewish men, particularly around sites in Jerusalem. If they're observant, they'll probably have one, through the day. So you'll see it in lots of different places, come in lots of different sizes, shapes, colors. They have meaning. Some of them identify you as being part of a group. You don't need to know all that stuff because every little sect within Judaism has some unique way to identify themselves. So, but just so you know what they are, it's a sign of reverence towards God, and it's instructed by men. You can see some of these things. It's the same idea. They may wear one of these. These are formal, but particularly in the Western Wall and the Rabbinical Tunnel, you'll see some guys dressed up really, really fancy and have some of these kind of hats, and you might wonder, what the heck is that all about? It's just some of it's a cultural expression. You probably would guess that these guys don't come from Africa, because it's hot there. You're not going to wear a hat like that. Most of them come from Eastern Europe, and so they're cold countries, and they wear hats like this, and for dress up. That sounds like they're dressing up for for fancy events. Okay, so anyway, you'll see guys with different types of hats. They will probably have a kippah or a yarmulke underneath that, but it's kind of like 2 layers. And this guy's wearing a prayer shawl that we'll talk about in just a second. Okay, so just so you have a little bit of understanding when you see that stuff, just a little bit of background. This is going to give you a little explanation of the wearing the prayer shawl. What's the prayer shawl all about? The talit.
The talit is a prayer shawl. You may own one, or you may pick one up off of the racks in the synagogue or prayer service that you attend. When you're ready to put on the talit, first drape it over your shoulder. You can now take the 4 fringes at the 4 corners, the tzitzit, and take a look through them. Run your fingers through them just to make sure that they're straight and that each one has 8 strings, 4 on each side, that they're complete and laying smooth. Now you're ready to put on the talit. Unfold it, looking for the atara, or crown, which marks the top side of the talit. Here it is. Hold the talit in front of you with the atara facing up and facing you, and recite the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lihit'atef b'tzitzit. The blessing describes wrapping yourself in the talit. And so before wearing it regularly, you actually wrap yourself in it. This is done in one of 2 ways. It begins by putting it on like a cape, turning it around behind you, and now you're ready to put it first over your head so that the atara, the crown, is past your forehead. Some people continue before wearing it regularly by gathering the entire 4 sections of the talit together and casting them over your left shoulder, like so. Now you're ready to wear the talit regularly. Place the atara against the back of your neck. It's important that the 4 corners, the 4 tzitzit, lay against the 4 corners of your body, front left, front right, and back left and right. You accomplish this by bringing your hands out just past the corners and the tzitzit, giving yourself some wiggle room. Lift up your arms, drape the back behind you comfortably, and bring the front corners in front of you. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now you're ready with the atara against the back of your neck and the talit brought in over your shoulders to wear the talit regularly for prayer.
Okay, so lots of elaborate ceremonies, right? Those are the parts we don't really care about. It's like, okay, whatever. There's nothing biblical about that. But the wearing the prayer shawl was something that Jesus did. So you go, well, that's interesting. One of the women that was healed, the woman had the issue of blood, was healed because she touched the tzitzit, the fringes. And so there's nothing bad about it. There's a little emblem on the top that's the crown, and the idea of putting that emblem, and there's a statement that comes with it, and putting it over your head as you pray. That's fine. You can see that sometimes for the guys that are praying at the wall or in any public place, it allows them some privacy. I don't know about you, close your eyes so you don't get distracted by other people. It's that kind of a thing. It gives you a little bit sense of privacy between you and the Lord. So it's definitely something that is predominantly for the men. I believe that there are some women at the wall that will also use those, but it's really a thing for the men. And so you go, okay, that's interesting. Why do they do that? Well, it's a prayer shawl, and the tzitzit are supposed to remind of the commandments. And so you go, okay, well, is there anything wrong with it? No. Do you have to do it? Obviously not. But it's something that's, you'll see it all over the nation, but especially in Jerusalem at the Western Wall. So I just felt like I wanted you guys to see some of those things. And be familiar with them, at least have a basic understanding of them, so that because it's different. It's different for us. We're not familiar with it. Most of us didn't grow up around Jewish communities or Orthodox communities where we'd see a lot of that kind of stuff. So hopefully it just gives you a little bit more understanding as you see these things when we're in Jerusalem, especially. This is something that. Eric Metaxas was sharing this last week. Tina and I got a chance to go to a conference on Tuesday where he shared with Jack Hibbs and several other people. And he's talking about the decline within the church and how that there's a lot of people who would say they have faith. I believe, but they're not doing anything. They're not doing anything to stand for righteousness. They're not doing anything to oppose evil. And he went to the passage in James where James says in multiple times in a short section, faith without works is dead. And you know the passage in James where he says, let us be doers of the word, not hearers only. Because if we're in that position, we're deceiving ourselves. And one of the things that as we go through our trip, we're going to come back time and time again to the Shema, and just to try to show, the essential connection that faith, unless it's applied, unless we do it, unless we obey, it's not genuine faith. It's not real faith. It's dead. It's by itself. It needs to be expressed, and that's constantly what God's, in a sense, harping on as he speaks through the prophets, as he began the covenant. Hear, O Israel, hear and obey. Because his desire is to bless them. And think of you in Psalm 1, blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly. He hears God's word and obeys it, so he doesn't walk that way, and he experienced blessing. And that's exactly what he wants for all of us. Is I just want you to listen, really hear, and then do it, apply. And so, we live in a time where I think Dietrich Bonhoeffer coined the phrase of a cheap grace. where, I believe. And you go, and are you doing anything? Is there any expression of your faith that shows that I love the Lord, and because I love the Lord, I'm going to do the things that he says? And if you start to see some of those things through the lens of the Shema, you start to realize it's like, oh my gosh, this comes back to this time and time again. Even when Jesus says, if you love me, keep my commandments. There's a direct connection. Love the Lord. Yes, love him. How do I show that? By doing the things that he says. And so hopefully we won't beat it to death, but we'll just emphasize it often enough that you go, wow, this is a major, major theme in God's word. To hear, really listen. And how often he pleaded with Israel to listen, to hear. And even as Jesus spoke when he came to Jerusalem, he said, how often I wanted to gather you together as a mother hen, but you wouldn't do it. And so I know we got a lot in store for us, and hopefully some of these things will just add into and complement the stuff that we're going to see, the things we're going to hear, the studies we're going to have in the land. So I hope it'll be valuable. Any questions you guys have for me tonight? Or Joey, especially if you have questions for Joey. Okay, he's got one more thing he wants to do before we cut you loose here. And I want to thank my wife for all her hard work.
Hey, that was awesome. Some of that stuff, again, you go, Joey, how many times have you been over there? 30 plus times, and I'm still learning stuff every time. And I learned stuff tonight. So you guys are really, it's really a treat to have Mike teaching us as before we even go. So that's really cool. And really, you're going to see, instead of having these questions there, you're going to see it. You're going to go, oh, Mike talked about that. They're putting on their prayer shawl or they're wrapping them, and so it'll be really, really neat for you. So last thing, the Shema. Who's up tonight? Look at Mary shaking her head over. Good. Keep it up. I put it on my, just so you know, one of the things I do to help me. One, like I said, I have the Shema. Don't let me forget to give you the cards. Okay. It's on my bathroom mirror, like I say. I've got the Aaronic blessing is on my phone, so that when I'm just sitting in the doctor's office and I got nothing better to do, it's on my face page, or my cover page. So that's how I memorize that. It just makes it, I got nothing better to do. So instead of going on Facebook, I practice my memorization. So we have prize. We only have 2 weeks left. So is anybody else willing, ready to give it a try for a reward? If you haven't done it yet. Yes, Wanda. All right, give her a hand. That's awesome. Atta girl. The rest of you are chickens. Whoop.
Gave me a microphone. Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Eloheinu b'kol lahavta. Uv'kol nafsheka, uv'kol meodeha. V'ahavta l'reacha mocha. Oh, that last word. Kamocha.
There you go. Okay. So come see. You get your choice of a box, one or the other boxes, or the. Okay, there's tea in there. That's fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay, so the most important thing is it's Nevaeh's birthday, and so we have cake and ice cream out in the foyer, as they say. So, Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Nevaeh. Happy birthday to you. Woo! Got you again. Come get some ice cream and cake.